All right, I have earbuds on. Is that better?
Oh man!
Wow.
Now you're too loud. No, I'm kidding.
Ladies and gentlemen, our other guest that we have on the show.
Now we're starting.
Neanderthal.
Oh, now we can start from the beginning again?
We got 20 minutes now.
Let's start all over. So Neanderthal is he is the morning DJ on KSLX here in Phoenix, Arizona. And so he's got a lot of knowledge about guitars, but he also has a lot of knowledge about the classic rock musicians out in the world. So, Paul, let me ask you a question. Now, the Stones were just in here about, what was that, last Monday or something?
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Okay, tell us, were you at that? Did you go to that show?
I did go to the show, and it was shockingly good. You know, we've been joking about the Stones for decades about when are they going to stop? When are they going to stop? They're so old and all that stuff. There's no reason for them to stop if they're still this friggin' good. I mean, they were amazing. I was shocked. And think about this. It's only been less than 6 months since Mick Jagger had heart surgery. 75 years old, heart surgery, and he came out and just lit it up. They were in a groove, and it was the second to last show of the tour. So they had been doing it for months, and then they come out and just laid waste. And they're playing to, 70,000 people at the football stadium and just crushed it. Phenomenal.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the Stones about 10 years ago. And, you always see these concerts where the guy does a song, and as soon as the song's over, he walks over to the back of the stage, he takes a sip of water, he fluffs his hair up a little bit or whatever. But Mick Jagger I noticed he never falls out of character. You never see him hiding behind an amp, taking a sip of water. You never, any of that. So I was super impressed by that. Mick Jagger is, like you said, he's Mick Jagger 24/7. He never falls out of his character.
Well, there's an argument to be made that our good friend David Lee Roth is the same way. He doesn't know when to turn it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you've Johnny, I don't know if you've ever dealt with him, but there is an intensity that is there 24/7. It's not an act. He's that guy. And that can be sometimes exhausting. And I'm sure it has been exhausting for his bandmates over the years as well.
I've never met Roth, although I have an aunt and an uncle that I literally just ran into him a couple times, like years ago, like just like skiing or something. And it's like, hey, you look like David Lee Roth. And he's like, no, it's not me. But they knew it was him,
Right.
I've never met him. I know somebody that's related to him. I know, like, what would she be? Her dad is like a cousin to him.
Right.
Or something. So I don't know what that would be. But she actually tried getting a hold of him at one point. She couldn't get a hold of him.
Maybe she's a baby mama. How many kids does Roth actually have out in the world?
She actually looks like him. She actually looks like him, so I don't doubt that she's related to him. But
maybe she's a daughter.
It's funny because I know one of Troy Aikman's cousins, and she looks exactly like him. Like they're like the family gene did not split too far. I'm wondering if there's some cousins or something that are intimately acquainted, because she literally looks and she's, don't get me wrong, she's stunningly good looking. She doesn't have the hands that he has, but you can tell, like, when you find out she's an Aikman, you go, oh yeah, I see that.
So honestly, would you be able to date her? No, could you ever get Troy Aikman out of your head? Would you be able to date somebody that looks like Troy Aikman?
I don't know that I could. I don't know. I mean, that's an awkward question to be the. I'm not sure I could.
Yeah.
This is funny. User not available. Hey, asking if I ever get Seth Rogen comparisons. Actually, this is funny. We're talking about this. Mm-hmm. Michael Anthony told me I look like Seth Rogen.
Cool.
I don't know about that. I don't know that you look. You're not quite as thick as Seth. You're welcome.
You need to start working out. If you start working out, then you'll get there.
I used to get I used to get Meatloaf a lot when I was heavier.
That's
I get
unfortunate.
I get Steve Souza from Exodus. I got that a lot. When my hair was a little bit like it wasn't on the side and shit like that. It was a little shorter.
Hair grow out.
And then Ernest Borgnine, who was, you might know as
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Lieutenant Commander Quentin McHale,
And
because I used to have the space before I had the dental work done, so I looked a lot like McHale's Navy.
you look like that guy from Curb Your
So-
Enthusiasm.
Oh yeah.
And then again, when I was heavier, I got Jack Black a lot too, because why not?
Mhm.
All right. So, Johnny, what was the latest guitar purchase that you have come across recently? What's the last guitar? I want to try to get the topic back on guitars and instruments. What was the last one that you came across?
That I bought?
Yeah, your last guitar, or somebody gave you, or whatever. What's the last? Or let's make it easier. What's the piece of equipment that you've come across?
Let's see. The last thing I got. Here, we'll do a plug. Do you guys know FU? You know FU Tone?
Yeah, they did the upgrades on my Wolfgang Stealth Japan.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, Adam from FU Tone. I bought one of his humbuckers. He has an FU branded humbucker, which I guess I hear that they're supposed to be kind of like Wolfgang humbuckers.
Well, I would
And-
assume, given the amount of work they do with Wolfgang, everybody buys the FU Tone upgrade for their Wolfgangs.
Yeah.
It only makes sense that he branches out into try and make a custom pickup that people can afford.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's great. That product is fantastic. It's funny. FU Tone is it's like putting aftermarket exhaust pipes on a motorcycle. It's almost like a required upgrade.
Mm-hmm. So that's the last piece. That'd be gear, right?
Yeah, pickups.
Now, do you build, Johnny?
Sometimes I do. I used to a lot more. I don't have a workbench here, but previous places I've lived, I've had workbenches, and actually I had a really nice workspace at one point in Berkeley. And well, if you can see behind me, yeah, that guitar, that Kramer, that's actually I'll grab it. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
That's something that's kind of in pieces.
I let a Kramer go, and I regret it every day. I had an '83 Pacer Special that I bought out of a pawn shop in New Orleans, and yeah, with that neck, with the
probably the exact same neck.
Yeah, it was the exact same neck. It was an '83 Kramer Pacer Special, with all the original parts and stuff. It had the rainbow paint deal, the red green stripe thing, and I ended up selling it to a guy in England. I lost my job, and as is often the case when you're unemployed, you find things that you can sell off to try to make ends meet. And I sold it to a guy in England for I think $1,000. I paid $200 for it out of a pawn shop in New Orleans, and sold it to a guy in England. And I regret it every day. I've been looking for another one like that ever since.
Oh man, yeah. Kramer's, especially back in the '90s. Kramer's pawn shops were filled with them.
Yeah.
I got. I've told this story a few times. I've got what's called a Kramer Ripley.
There's a Ripley for sale here in Phoenix right now. With a maple neck.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Fruitcake Tony says Paul kind of looks like David Bryan, the keyboard player from Bon Jovi.
All right. So anyway, finish what you were saying. You have a Ripley?
Yeah.
One more real quick. Denny Allen says that Johnny kind of looks like Johnny Galecki from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. I get that sometimes. On these videos actually. I did a Van Halen. Actually, one of the first videos we actually saw my face. I did a Van Halen lesson. I think it was the elephant sound. There's this elephant sound that Eddie would do, and I did a lesson. And at the end of the video, I pick up my camera and I'm like talking to it, selfie style, and the comments are like, "You look like that guy from Big Bang Theory,"
Well, you have a similar personality too. You're sort of laid back and passive in a good way. I'm not saying that in a negative way, but you have sort of that same personality, so it'd be easy for people to make that that sort of assumption, especially after watching you for like an hour. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, it kind of reminds me of that guy," because Galecki comes across as a really nice guy. So I guess that's a compliment.
I've never seen Big Bang Theory, so I don't know him from that. I know him from Roseanne,
Right.
from in the '90s. I know him from Roseanne, but
So anyway, your Ripley story.
yeah, I got a Kramer Ripley. The serial plate says 0005,
Wow.
which I don't know if that actually means anything or not, but and I got it at a pawn shop in Oakland for $350.
Sure. The one that's for sale here is $3,500.
In 1995, nobody wanted that stuff. You know?
Well, remember, but think about this. Back in 1986, 87, you could walk into. I remember going into. I'm originally from Boston, and you go into Cambridge Music, which is in Porter Square in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And Joe Stump was the guitar teacher there at the time, and was teaching my brother. So we walked in there, and you could buy, like late 60s, early 70s Norland Les Pauls and stuff for like $400, and a Charvel Model 1 was like $1,200 on the wall. And looking at that now, that wall, like I can see it right now, this wall of different bursts of Les Pauls for between $400 and $900 out the door. And I'm like, oh.
Paul, remind me again, Joe Stump. Who's Joe Stump?
Joe Stump is essentially an East Coast Yngwie Malmsteen. Wow. He was in a band called Trash Broadway early on in the mid to late 80s. They were a Boston band, but Joe is originally from New York. And then he got signed to David Chastain's label and did a couple of instrumental records, which are very humbly titled Joe Stump's Guitar Dominance and Joe Stump's Night of the Living Shred. He's currently playing in a version of Alcatraz with Graham Bonnet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's doing it. He's got another, I forget, he had another thing called Reign of Terror. But if you like that neoclassical shred thing, he plays ESPs that look like cream Fender Strats with the scallop neck, the whole deal. But he is every bit as good as Yngwie, slightly thinner, and with a much better attitude.
Zimms Guitars.
Are you familiar with Joe, Johnny?
I know the name, and I'm thinking I've seen him in like maybe like a magazine at some point.
Yeah, no, he's very big in Europe, obviously, because they love that stuff over there. But it comes right out of the Blackmore, Malmsteen, that what I like to call Little Italy guitar playing, which is over and over. So. And don't get me wrong, I love shred. I've got, I'm a huge shred fan. But we get it. You can play. Alice Cooper once said famously, "That's great. Where's the song?" So.
Yeah. I really don't listen to guitar music. I listen to a lot of like classical. Classical music.
Everybody goes through phases, and that's just what the phase you're in right now.
Yeah, I love classical. Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, Handel. Those guys are my favorites.
I just recently got this thing. It's the LTV Kurt Hammock, Korean.
Whoa.
ESP thing, neck through. Yeah, so this thing's kind of cool. Paul, give us your latest thoughts on what's the Metallica boys been up to.
Well, they're going to do another S&M show, which is kind of neat. Like I guess they're doing the movie premiere might be out near where Johnny is, out in Berkeley. They did that thing with Michael Kamen way back when the S&M concerts, and they're doing like a 20th anniversary movie screening of that. And
that was done in Berkeley.
Yeah.
That was done at.
Go ahead.
I want to say that was done at Berkeley High School.
It's possible.
There's a theater. There's a theater at Berkeley High School where major bands play there all the time.
Yeah, I saw Tool at the Berkeley Performance Center there with Robert Fripp back in like
Berkeley Community Theater. That's what it is.
That might be it. Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Yeah, I saw Tool out there. Like it's a nice little sort of an intimate venue, and the acoustics in there were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But that, Metallica and I think Trujillo and Hammett are doing like some weird shows, like one-off shows where they're doing other stuff, like jamming other band stuff. But every couple of days you'll see a post of like, I think they're still touring over in Europe for now.
Mm-hmm.
And then who knows? Those guys don't have to do anything. They can, they're done. They can tap out at any time if they choose.
As far as being financially secure.
Or yeah, well, they've been financially secure for decades. It's a matter of what do they want to do now. It's difficult, I think, to be 60 years old and angry. When your bank account is that big, like I always wondered what keeps Dave Mustaine pissed off, and then I realized because he's not in Metallica.
Okay, let's talk about Dave for a second. What's the latest thoughts or what's new with Dave and his health issues that he's having?
Last I heard, and it's probably best to keep that personal, is just that he's undergoing some treatment, and the prognosis is positive. But you're never gonna hear somebody that's dealing with a health problem like that come out and say, "Look, I got cancer and I'm screwed." So I think the less said about that, the better. I mean, obviously, no matter how incorrigible an individual might be. Historically, it's never good to wish evil stuff on him. So it's good. We hope Dave gets better. The world is a better place with Megadeth music in it. So
that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Paul, now that we can hear your voice really well,
all right,
show me again your brand new Tool CD, because that thing is so interesting. People are going to trip out on this brand new. He bought the brand new Tool CD.
My apologies, Johnny. I guess he wants to see this again. So
yeah, I want to see this.
Oh, that's good. It was cool.
This thing is pretty insane. The new Tool album, Fear Inoculum, came out about a week ago, and it's going to end up being #1. It's going to beat Taylor Swift. And it's interesting because the packaging, it's the typical Tool sort of graphics and stuff, but this is $40. And you say to yourself, well, why is a CD $40? And you say the answer is because when you open it up, they give you essentially a television. And that television has all these visuals that are pretty amazing. And I'm not sure if you can hear it. Now, you probably can't hear it.
I can't hear it, but I can see it.
And so for $40, it has these weird visuals that go through it. And if you watch it long enough, there's like visuals of like the Tool Man, which is like sort of their logo thing, going through what looks to be like these tunnels of visuals. And the idea that a 4-inch LCD screen can be had for $39.99 is it's ridiculous to me.
Plus you get the CD in there too.
Yeah, well, you also get a digital download too, because I think there's a digital version of the record that has a couple of tracks on it that aren't on the actual CD itself. But and I think Adam Jones, who's the guitar player for the band, is responsible for this animation, this digital animation, which is just stunning. You can't really trying to find a way to visualize it, to make it look so you can see it right.
I can hear it.
Oh, can you hear it?
I can hear it now, yeah.
Kids are going to just trip out on that.
Well, yeah, I imagine that those who may be interested in mind-altering substances. I mean, this really is.
I'm tripping right now just looking at that.
Yeah, this is.
I've never tried pot, but I feel like I just took a hit just now.
Yes. It really is a modern-day Pink Floyd.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty amazing stuff, to buy an album that has all these weird visuals in it. Nobody's ever done. I guarantee you this is going to win the Grammy for best album packaging.
For best TV show.
Yeah, best TV show.
I also think that Taylor Swift's next album's going to have it. And every artist from here on out, it's going to have the same thing. They're gonna all have a version of theirs.
See if there's a microphone here. Can you hear that now? Maybe not.
No.
It's just phenomenal. It's such a weird. It's a weird package. It's a great package.
And then you start going to get rated X versions of.
Oh yeah, porn.
CDs. Yeah.
There's already bands doing that. I mean, bands like Rammstein and some of these other bands. Well, hell, let's go back to our friend Eddie Van Halen, who did some work for an adult movie called Sacred Sin back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see that?
The movie? No, but I have seen the video for the video for Catherine.
Well, you know, there was two versions of it. There was two versions
of what?
Of that
video?
movie. Of the video.
Oh.
There's an X-rated and then there's like a normal version of it.
No, I haven't.
I've never seen either one either, but I remember the songs.
I remember the video of him like tracking it at 5150 in the middle of the night with just the one light on in the background. My guess is my guess is his blood alcohol level was probably around nuclear at the time, because that was, remember when that was done, that was at a time when Ed's health was not in its best place. So
Early 90s, wasn't it? 94, 95 neighborhood.
No, much later than that. Yeah.
2006.
Yeah, much later.
Oh.
Yeah,
2006.
After the aborted 2004 tour, where it's a great story. You talk about, being in the right place at the right time. And I won't use the words because there's a family show, but they have the big diamond vision in the background, no pun intended, because it's got David Lee Roth involved, but I meant the big screens in the background. There's this, it's Eddie and Dave, and this is back when Eddie was still drinking, and pretty heavily from what I understand. This is like back when his hair was all messed up and he had what looked like meth mouth. You remember the time, Johnny, when he was not looking so good. And he had the hair back in like the man bun, the top man bun, and it was kind of sloppy. And he gets up next to Dave, and Dave is doing his, Dave-like things. And I'll just mouth the words, but you see Eddie Van Halen looks at Dave and goes, and the first words were, get the, and the last ones were, away from me, you a-hole.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those moments that was captured so that 17,000 people in the Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri saw Eddie tell Dave to get the hell away from him. A moment they probably didn't want broadcast, but I'm guessing somebody on the road crew had enough of whatever was going on backstage and decided to go, oh, they're getting near each other. Let's see what happens.
Tons of fun. What's your latest thoughts on Sammy Hagar and what's going on with those guys? Those guys seem like the new album's doing good. They're out on the road playing a lot of shows, having a lot of fun. Sammy Hagar's kicking butt.
I wish Sammy would stop talking about Van Halen. It's like he don't get me wrong, people ask him about it all the time too. But this Circle record, the last Circle record, a couple of blatant tips to Ronnie Montrose on it, which I think are awesome. I think the Circle is cool. I think Vic Johnson is a cool guitar player. I think Sammy Hagar has settled into a really nice place where he's sort of a modern day Jimmy Buffett. If your parents like Jimmy Buffett, you can kind of like Sammy Hagar. I mean, interesting thing about it, and just not as a self-flagellation thing. I've never really met any of the guys, the players in Van Halen, but I've had an opportunity to talk to all of the vocalists. In fact, I've known Gary for the better part of 30 years, and I haven't met Mitch, whose place in the band is dubious at best, but some people acknowledge it. But when I met Sammy and spoke to him, and this was back in 1996 or 97, right after he had left and put the Little White Lie record. So it was 98, I guess.
I remember that record. Good song.
Marching to Mars record. We do this interview and stuff like that. And at the end, where we stop, and as Johnny was talking about, like off camera, off mic, that type of thing, I go, Sam, I just want to say thanks for taking some time. I really didn't want to like you. And his response was, Roth fan, huh? and I went, yeah, I'm in that camp. And he goes, I get that all the time. It's cool. And he just smiled. And I was like, Jesus, this guy is the nicest guy.
Right.
You know, he does just fine. Thanks. And I think the Circle is a good band. I wouldn't mind hearing another Chickenfoot record because I think Chickenfoot 3 was a really good record that nobody cared about.
I just think the drummer, the Chili Peppers guy, he's just maybe too busy for it. Or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, they get Kenny Aronoff to do it when Chad Smith can't do it. They have Kenny Aronoff sit in and does his thing, and Kenny is always available. Have drum kit. Kenny will sit back. In fact, I saw him at the Kiss show that you mentioned earlier. He was backstage at that Kiss show, just hanging out. I guess he and Doc McGee are tight or whatever, or he knows the guys in Kiss. He knows Tommy or whatever. But he was there and just happy-go-lucky guy. So he'll sit in. I imagine that they kind of want to do it with Chad Smith though, because Chad Smith was on the record, and I think that's kind of what they want to do. But look, Satriani doesn't need the money, he doesn't need the time. Sammy makes more money off of his liquor than he does off of his music, and he's 72 now. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
He's right around there, yeah.
So, at some point they'll go out and they'll play when they want to go out and play, and not a minute before because they don't have to. And the concert industry is a pain in the ass right now. Ticket prices are as high as the balls in a giraffe because nobody's selling any product. So it's a pain. People don't want to pay, $100 or $150 or $500 to see a band.
What was the highest?
They also don't want to pay. They also don't want to pay for CDs. So
what was the Rolling Stones high ticket price? What was the highest ticket price to go see the Stones?
In the thousands.
Wow.
In the thousands to sit in front of the Rolling Stones. And of course, a lot of these bands have got these meet and greet packages and stuff that they're doing now. So, But in the thousands, I have a friend who I think she sat 5th row, second section on the floor, and she paid $500 for her ticket. So that's a lot of money for 2 hours of entertainment. But when these bands are getting guaranteed 7 figures, you think about this, a band usually takes home about 50% of what their guaranteed money is. It costs them about 50% of whatever they make that night for insurance and for the touring expenses and stuff like that. So if a band is getting $1 million a show, they're only taking home, between $450 and $500 to be split between, in the Rolling Stones situation, probably 9 people on stage. I'm guessing the background singers and the second keyboard player and stuff like that are all salaried employees. But I'm guessing Chuck Leavell gets a nice piece, and then the other 4 guys spread whatever's left over equally amongst them.
Yeah, I would think it'd be like the main guys.
Yeah, I would. I mean, Keith, Ronnie, and Mick and Charlie probably get the majority of the money.
Yeah,
but I'm guessing Chuck Leavell's been there so long that he probably gets a nice piece of money as well. But then the background singer, she's probably getting a per diem. I think there's 2. She's getting a per diem. She gets her hotel taken care of, and I'm sure she's getting a couple thousand a week, which is still good money to go out and sing backgrounds for the Rolling Stones, even if she has to hit that note and Gimme Shelter, which is not easy.
I've got a friend who I think it's his girlfriend. I don't think they're married. And she plays, I think, violin, and she'll get hired to play all the local shows in like Sacramento and Berkeley and I met them I think a few years ago. We were hanging out and they were telling me how they would go to these shows. And who'd she play? I think she just played for Weird Al. I think Weird Al. I think was just in Sacramento or something. And I guess there was an orchestra, and she did violin for like that one night for that one show. Now,
have you ever seen a Weird Al show?
Not live, no.
It's pretty amazing. It's the weirdest thing in the world because Weird Al does what he does, and yet he literally is the greatest at what he does and has rock star cred. It's so weird.
Oh man, did you see the Weezer video?
Oh yeah,
that he did.
Yeah, nice. Because he can. Like name somebody else that does what he does. He's so singular. Like when you're singular, when you can be somebody that is so unique. Like let's face it, there are 100 great guitar players that we can talk about. there are, maybe 75 legendary bass players, 200 legendary drummers. But there are very few guys on the planet that can whip out an accordion and play a parody polka version of a song that is so good that sometimes you forget the original song.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like when you hear the original song, it was like anytime you hear "Bad" from Michael Jackson, you immediately think of "Fat" from Weird Al. That's how good he is. He's so singular, and look, I don't own any of his music. I wouldn't go to any of his shows. But you want to talk about a guy that's got cred? Hang on, I got to throw a ball. My German Shepherd just gave me a ball. Sorry about that. Duty calls.
Paul, you can make YouTube videos about your dogs. Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, that's how the legendary Johnny Beane began.
Yeah.
That's how I started.
Now, Howie's 17.
He's almost 17. He'll be 17 in January.
Yeah, see, that is, it's the cruel fact of how it goes. I have German Shepherds, and I've had German Shepherds my whole life. I have one that she's probably 9 now, and I know that everything is finite, and I can't imagine life without them. They are absolutely the best thing in the world. Life is better with dogs in it. I don't trust people that don't like dogs, but I do trust dogs that don't like people.
Mm-hmm.
They get it.
I've got all kinds of animals. I just got a cat. I just
cool.
got a cat. His name's Ned, and he's in the garage hanging out. But actually, I have chickens as well.
Oh, cool. Interestingly, there's a girl that I know here in town who has a rooster, and she brings it to our radio station all the time when she comes to pick up tickets and stuff. She brings this rooster with her and walks it around and the rooster is fairly domesticated. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that the case with your chickens?
Yeah. I can't trust my rooster. He's actually sent me to the ER twice.
Oh, no kidding.
The one that I have. Yeah. Yeah, but we actually had a chicken just pass away 2 days ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And I found her. She wasn't feeling good the past couple of days, and I went to check on her, and she had passed away. So I had to take her out of the coop and everything. But
how long do chickens live?
I don't know.
I'm going to say until lunchtime.
See, I held off on it. I was going to be like, well, you know what you should have given her, Johnny, what helps when I don't feel good? Chicken soup.
Oh, where's my
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
My clown horn is in the other room. I was going to break out the clown horn.
Hey, Paul, do us a favor and see if you can coax one of your dogs onto the screen for a second.
Come here, Ace.
Ace,
come here.
Now, who did you name Ace after?
He was actually named before I got him. Hang on a second. Where'd he go? Ace, come here, buddy. Want to say hi? Say hi to everybody.
Oh, there's Ace.
Ace is a good boy. He's a rescue. They're all rescues. That's Ace, and then over here is Lemmy. And Lemmy's not having it.
Ah.
But yeah, Ace was named before I got him. He was part of a rescue organization here in town. As Ace Frehley was the guy that inspired me to play guitar first, I decided that it was kismet. I had to have him. So try to get that light out of the way.
Ask you another thing. I hope it's not too hard, but reach over and grab your Ace Frehley Les Paul that you have.
They are in cases because I have dogs and don't want them to knock them off. I can walk over and get one, but we'll better off. I'll bring it down the shop and we'll do a video at some point. But
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, the only things that I have out right now are I got an SG out, some acoustic stuff, some bass stuff, and my EVH striped is the only stuff I have out right now.
Oh, cool.
Super cool stuff.
Yeah, the rest of my stuff is, I got a couple, and I guess we might as well go down the list of stuff. I've got a couple of EBMs, EBMMs, Van Halens. I got a couple of PV Van Halens. I just sold that Wolfgang that I was telling you about earlier with the FU tone thing. I just didn't bond. I didn't bond with the Fender version of it. I like the PV versions. I like the Ernie Ball versions. I had a friend that Johnny might be aware of up at CHS Custom Guitars up in New York. Just painted up. I had a Kramer 1984 that I actually bought from Dane, brand new with the red and black bullseye. I immediately got it and said, no, not doing this, and shipped it up to CHS Customs.
He had a brand new Kramer guitar with the bullseyes, and he painted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the bullseye, that's meant for a paintbrush.
Yes.
Okay. That's what
what I should have done was taken a paintball gun and just hit it with a paintball gun. That would have been awesome. That would have been kick-ass. I should have done that. Yeah, kind of like that. Dane has a bunch of Kramers. He's got Dane has the cool thing. He's got the ESP Kramers, the focuses. He's got like 4 of them.
Oh, that's what that is. That body.
Focus 1000.
That's my first guitar. That's the same body. That's the same thing.
Yeah, the Focus. A lot of people, maybe people that are watching this, aren't aware of this, but the Kramer Focus series, the original Focuses, 1000, 3000, 6000, were made by a Japanese company called Electric Sound Products, which are ESP guitars. And if you find some of those old Kramer Focuses for cheap money on eBay, you're essentially buying an ESP guitar. And not an LTD, like a legitimate Japanese-made ESP guitar for a couple of $100. I've done it multiple times. Loved them.
Yeah, I did that a bunch 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I was actually up to like 50 guitars at one point, and the majority of them were Kramer Focus 1000s, 2000s, 3000s. I think I even had a what's the big X-looking one?
The Maniacs or
6,000?
Oh, the 6,000, yeah.
Or 7. I think the 7,000 you get into like the bass. Maybe it's 7,000, but yeah.
I had a Kramer Duke bass with the Ebonol fingerboard and the aluminum neck, which I hated because in Arizona you can't keep it in tune.
That's right. No, not that one. Yeah, you got it.
How many guitars are you up to now,
John? Maybe 20.
That's about where I'm at.
Maybe.
What's your favorite?
My favorite. I would have to say I've got a Strat. We call it the David Ennis Strat because a viewer named David Ennis gave it to me.
Oh, nice.
And it's a Fender Elite Stratocaster. And that's not the last show, the second to last gig I did, I played that guitar. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
Fun fact, I cannot play guitar very well at all. In the 80s, I sang in bands, and played a little bit of bass. I have, I keep my bass nearby. Dane will love this. This is a Fender Aerodyne Jazz, which is it's the same bass that Frank Bello and Duff McKagan play. It's a fantastic Japanese bass.
Mm-hmm.
But I sang. I don't, and like any singer, when somebody leaves the room, you pick up their guitar and play it until. But I've been trying to play guitar unsuccessfully since 1979. So that's your Strat. What is American made? It's Fender Elite.
Yeah, it's a USA Fender Elite.
And that's your favorite guitar because it was a gift.
It was a gift, and also it's a Strat. You can get pretty much any tone you want out of a Stratocaster.
I just essentially, with the money that I made off of that EVH, I bought I had the Wolfgang Stealth Japanese Stealth Special that I sold. I essentially just flipped that money, turned it around, and bought from Dane yesterday Fender American Original 50s Strat.
Oh, cool!
Which is the ash one, the white one with the ash body, and it is.
Uh-huh.
It's got a big baseball bat neck in it. Jeez, what a great guitar!
Yeah, huge neck on that thing.
Yeah, Strat players won't like that neck because it's it's a 9.5-inch radius and it's thick. If you got big hands, it works, but if you got little hands, it's not a fun guitar to play.
Mm-hmm.
9.5 radius. I think it's 7.5.
7.5 was the original specs on the 50s Stratocaster, but the American Original series has a 9.5-inch radius on it. They changed it so that they wanted it a little bit flatter so that it doesn't, sort of fret out when you're bending.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think. And Dane? What's your favorite guitar of all time? The one that you own that you'll never let go of.
Oh man, that is a tough question. I'm kind of on a Chapman kick right now. I played a gig with the punk rock band that I'm in, and I took my Chapman ML3, so it was like a Rob Chapman Telly. But man, I get on kicks where because I'm able to buy a couple guitars and build my collection, and then I can sell them because I'm in a guitar shop. So, but I have a lot of Charvels and Kramers and Chapmans, and that's usually sort of what I collect, and that's kind of what's laying around at my house.
I want to say I have an Ernie Ball Music Man Van Halen. It's you know, if you have one of these guitars, and Johnny's probably done this as well, you can give the serial number to Ernie Ball, and they'll tell you where the guitar was originally shipped to. And I have a red one, and it comes, and it was originally shipped to nothing more than what they call artist relations, but they won't tell me who owned it. So I don't know who owned it, but it plays phenomenal. I love that guitar. I want to say that's my favorite, but I mean, the Ace Frehley guitars are good. I just bought a 1997 Gibson Les Paul Custom SG reissue, 61 reissue. That is just a phenomenal guitar.
Yeah, the 3 pickups. It's all gold.
It's got 357 classics in it. It's that, you know, sort of natural white with the and it doesn't have the vibrola on it. It's got the stop bar tailpiece on it. And that guitar is phenomenal, if not difficult to play, because I'm not used to not hitting that middle pickup when I'm strumming.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that might be my favorite guitar, only because it's a Les Paul, but it's not a Les Paul.
Yeah.
Gerald is saying that Kiss is playing Sunday in San Antonio, Texas. What's your thoughts on Kiss, guys?
Hello?
No, yes. Johnny, take the call.
Zimms guitars.
Put him on speaker. Let Johnny take the call. Let Johnny make a sale.
Can I help you?
No, I'm sorry. We don't have that. No room for rent.
I'm surprised he's not getting what you call callers. Okay. I probably shouldn't even say this, but since he's live, we got people watching us. He's live. He's in a store. People can easily get his phone number.
No, yeah, no, it's a public phone number. You're thinking what? People just screw him with them?
Yeah, well, I'm
just
surprised.
Like the phone ringing nonstop.
Like people aren't calling there because they're watching this.
Now, are we on your channel as well?
No.
Nah, smart.
No, we're on his. Although I have a public number that I use, and people call me up while I'm live and either leave cranks or actually talk to us. I used to take live calls. I stopped when a couple people called up. Well, it took 2 times for me to stop doing it. People would call up, and then they'd give me questions like it was an actual call and stuff. And at the very end, they would start yelling out the N-word. And live on my show, So I'd have to go and edit it, and when you edit that, the live chat goes away, and so I stopped taking live calls from just anybody. But anybody can call and leave a voicemail, and I'll play those voicemails over the air.
Now, do you have your phone set up or an audio source set up in your board? Because I know you have a setup similar to what I have in my home studio, which is, I don't have a webcam on my desktop computer. Otherwise, we'd be on that because I have an RE20 and a board and everything. And that would have been optimum for this. But I just learned about that we were doing this yesterday. So I would have tried to set up a webcam or some sort of setup so that we could have done this a little bit easier. But do you have some sort of a way that you can play those voicemails and get good audio quality?
Yeah. I just have a little plug. I just have a little cable sticking out right here somewhere, and I plug it into my phone.
Like a mini for the headphones?
A mini, or I plug it into my MacBook here, and I just play it. No,
that makes sense. Makes total sense.
Like, where's the plug? I can show you. Here's us. Here's us now. I'll do it now. We'll do it live. I can show you.
Ooh.
Here's us.
Here's us now. I'll do it now. We'll do it live. That's how I do it.
I can show you.
So I can just plug directly.
Ooh,
into
Here's
something.
us.
And there's the black
here's us
hole.
now. I'll do it now. We'll do it live.
That's how I do it.
I can show you.
That'll never end now.
Yeah.
It's like the mirror, the picture of the mirror of a picture of a mirror. So it's Johnny Beane is the MC Escher of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
There's
There's
the Uma album cover. Remember the Uma Guma album cover? The old Pink
Oh.
Floyd cover.
Oh. Yeah. No, I was gonna say though, really quickly. There's a video out there on YouTube. I've looked it up. Of a guy speaking. I don't know if this is scientific. It might be. But there's an audio of a guy talking, and he's just like, I'm sitting in a room talking, blah 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 blah, and basically I'm gonna replay this recording, just nonstop. So it's like half an hour, and basically as you listen to the video, it's the sound of the room, like morphing the audio sound of his voice, and it goes from being like sounding like this to just like the weirdest crap you've ever heard.
Like all out of phase, or does he change the mic position in the room?
No,
it's just because of the repeat rate. If it starts to cancel itself out,
it's the repeat, and the repeats coming off the walls and everything. The repeat of the sound. It turns into just like you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like when the old remember the old radio show Metal Shop, where you heard it was basically Yngwie Malmsteen's guitar delay from the Steeler record. That was like this, and it sounded like thunder, a screaming thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of deal.
It's the female version of Zim.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Good.
Is Dane actually selling something? Is he working?
Yeah, he's talking to somebody. I told him not to say anything, and I would just sit here and see if y'all would notice that there's a girl instead of Dane. Because everyone says we look alike. So.
Well, I think it's a safe assumption though that if you're on a webcam on the internet, that guys are thinking it's a girl. Really? Did you just put your? All right.
Yeah, he told me to advertise the shirt.
Yes, advertise the shop. That's exactly what we're doing now.
We look like twins today.
All right, my turn. Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Oh, there you go.
Because I'm a 51-year-old grown-ass man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
with a Dr. Teeth T-shirt and Zeppelin blimps behind me. That's Friday in a nutshell. It's a good life. Some people actually have jobs. The rest
Taking
of us
care
are
of
just...
Dane is a full-time job.
Yes, I imagine it is. Johnny still won't tell us what he does for a living, so I'm guessing he's in witness protection.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
So he's in Berkeley, California. So chances are he's a Hell's Angel.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those around here.
Yes, there are. There are a lot of them here too.
Here too.
I remember I was at the Summer Sanitarium show at Candlestick Park. Hold on, that hissing you sound. Here, it's another ball because the dogs need attention. I was at the Summer Sanitarium show. You probably remember this, Johnny, if you were still living out there. It was Metallica and Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit and a bunch of other, bands here today, gone later today bands. And at one point we were doing the interview stuff and backstage and all the sort of work crap that comes with it. And all of a sudden you hear this roar of motorcycles. And I happen to be, and I'm not, it sucks because it sounds like I'm name dropping. I happen to be talking to Lars and I go, oh, look, the Hells Angels are here. And Lars goes, yeah, they're welcome anytime. And that was it. He was just like, they're welcome anytime. Like, he's not going to, like, are you going to go out there and tell those guys that they can't come to the show? I mean, they just came right through the back gate. Right. I'm sure their pass was on their back. And they just came right through, parked, came walking in, went to the VIP area, started playing pinball, that whole deal. And it was just like, it was their house and Metallica were guests in it.
Uh-huh.
And it was fun to watch Lars just kind of go, oh boy, this is going to cost me. So good show though. I had season tickets to the Raiders out there, Johnny, for years and sat in the black hole. And I liked my time in Northern California. I thought it was a great place. Spent a lot of nights in Jack London Square. At that,
cool. Yeah,
at
I used to
that,
hang out Jack London all the time.
What's the name of that little bar that's like looks like it's a villain's lair in Batman? It's right on the wharf, and when you walk into it, it's like this old shanty shack, and you walk into it and you're like, oh Jesus, this floor is not safe.
Oh, it's the one where it's like sideways.
Yes, but
you walk in and you're like sideways.
Yeah, it didn't start out that way. It didn't start out sideways. I think the seawater is rotting away the pillars and posts that it's on. And I just remember going in there and drinking and going, this isn't safe at all. I feel like the bartender should ask you how much you weigh when you walk in, like one of those pilots when you're on one of those puddle jumper planes, so that they can position you inside that bar so you don't ruin the structure.
Oh man,
what's the name of that bar?
Is it a restaurant?
It's a small. It's not that big a place.
Is it the First and Last Chance Saloon?
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
That bar that is on the wharf, I think.
It's an old, and the decor inside is like old fisherman wharf type shit.
Yeah, I've been in there. I mean, but it's been years since I've been there. But I do remember you walk in there and it's kind of like down here in Santa Cruz. There's like a what's it called down here, where you walk in, it's all weird.
I don't know. I've never spent a lot of time in Santa Cruz.
You always see the bumper stickers.
Joe said hi nicely.
I can't think of it.
I think that should be cool.
Okay.
But I would like to be a banana slug someday.
Take care, bud.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The banana slugs. Yeah, I see them all the time outside.
Banana slugs?
They're always here. Yeah.
I'm sure the chickens eat them.
No, chickens won't. Nobody will touch them. Nobody wants them.
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know they were like that was they were common here. Like here in Phoenix, as you know, geckos everywhere, man. Geckos, on my back wall. The back wall of my because we have walls in Arizona. I'm not sure you were aware of that. We build big walls here.
Big beautiful walls.
Big beautiful walls. It's the greatest wall you'll ever see. People tell me nobody has ever seen a wall like it.
No, growing up in Ohio, nobody had fences around their yards. Everybody just my yard goes from that tree over to the mailbox, and that's it. But out here in Arizona, there's a concrete wall surrounding everybody's property, and when I first moved out here, it was kind of shocking. But
I grew up in the projects of South Boston, so the idea that you have a yard is impressive to me. Wow. I mean, I'm used to the idea that you see grass. I didn't see my first cow or livestock until I was like 12. Like I didn't know they were real. We drove up to New Hampshire at one point and drove past this like field, and there were cows and horses in the field. And I was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" Like I'd never seen it before. So, John has tapped out. He's decided to work on the rest of his day.
I'm trying to find that.
Friends, we have been on here for an hour and 38 minutes, so I'm kind of thinking it is time to tap out. Usually I do about an hour when I live stream. I try to go every Friday at 2:00. So any of you guys on here, Friday at 2:00 is when I normally do it. Now, Johnny, when's your next stream?
In about an hour.
In about an hour.
An hour and 20. So an hour and 20 minutes.
Let you at least have a little time to have chicken sandwiches before your next stream.
You're such a jerk.
But I want to thank you so much for being on with me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. And I mean, it's great to meet both of you. It's
you as well.
Fun, right? And being a Phoenix native, man, we're all Phoenix. We're all Phoenicians one way or another.
I'm gonna say next time I'm in the area, I'm gonna stop in there.
That would be super cool, man.
Yeah, you'd like the shop.
I think I might be able to round up McKnight too. If you're in town, just let me know.
Cool.
And we can maybe round up Lawrence Petros, because he lives right down the street too. So if there's a chance, have you played any of the Lawrence Petros pedals?
I have not. I have not.
Super cool boutique pedal maker.
I need to try them.
Yeah.
I need to try them, definitely.
So what?
But,
Let me interpret that for you, Dane. Tell Lawrence to send Johnny Beane a free pedal.
Yeah, there you go. I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll review.
Just trying to help. Yeah.
I'll review anything, you know.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And
Buy a shirt.
Neanderthal, thank you so much, man. Talk to you guys
Johnny,
later.
good meeting you.
Bye, guys. Okay. All right, guys.